Everyone. Yeah, I think everyone's in. Yep. Cool.
Okay. Welcome. These sessions will be recorded. I'm pleased you could join us for the Business Education and Resilience webinars with 1917. My name is Pauline Markward, and I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce, which is made up of members with common interests and concerns related to the business environment in the Bowie area. It is the primary professional trade organization in the Greater Bowie area dedicated to the protection, enhancement, and success of business in the Bowie community. The Bowie COVID-19 Business Recovery Assistance Program delivers online technical assistance to help Bowie businesses accelerate their post-pandemic economic recovery. This program is a collaboration between the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce and the Bowie Business Innovation Center, Business Accelerator funded by the City of Bowie. During this webinar, it is best to be comfortable with your video on. Remember to mute yourself. Please ask questions through the chat unless otherwise directed. And I'd like to welcome William Eric Lindsay, Senior Business Counselor of 1917. Hello.
Hey, Pauline, how are you? Hello,
well,
everyone.
thanks.
Good to see everyone here. Glad you guys are back. And I saw some interesting names and some familiar names and faces here. So glad to have you all back. So what I'm going to do, let me share my screen so we can start the webinar. All right. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to be talking about business planning. And we're going to do a little bit, something different than what we did in January. So if you were here in January, this is actually a great time to be here because we're not going to do the same thing. We're going to go a little bit deeper this time. So again, my name is William Eric Lindsay. I'm a business coach and accredited small business consultant. I'm the owner of 1917. I've been doing this for about 8 years now. I've been actually working for over 25 years in my field and do a lot of work in different countries, Africa, the Caribbean, South America, and doing business development, international development, things like that. So this is my contact information. So you'll also see this at the end of the presentation. So it's I'm really happy that all of you all are here. So before we begin, I always want to say thank you to the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce for selecting my team and I. There's a team of consultants that I know and I work with. And we put on this really great webinar presentation for the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce board. And we were selected to do this. So this is this is just fun for me. I love doing this stuff. And I love just being with everyone, having this community and growing the community for the chamber. So thank you, Pauline and Terry, who's the president of the chamber, in selecting my team and I to present this webinar to you guys. So as Pauline mentioned, this is the Business Education and Resilience webinar series. This is it's a 2-section series. So we started the first section in January, and each section is 12 webinars. Right now we're in section 2 and webinar number 2. Last week we talked about goals. So what our approach in doing this was pretty much a programmatic approach. It's, last week's webinar will build upon, it's an added value to today's webinar, and next week's webinar will build on today's webinar. So the whole thing just ties in, and we're doing things a bit differently this time. So we started with goal setting, which was last week, and we're definitely going to get into the operational management of the business, sales, marketing, all that kind of stuff. And we're also going to have the gentleman from SBA who is going to give a federal government update on the PPP and the EIDL programs. There's a lot of changes there. I'm hearing there's a lot of money left over in the program, and he's going to have an update to that later on in the few weeks to come. So on the grand finale is July 15th. We encourage everyone. Pauline is going to send that email out to really just get ready and to pitch your business. And in pitching your business, it's a competition. And we're obviously going to have some prizes for first place winner and second place winner and the third place winner. So we've expanded some of the levels and tiers of people who will win prizes in terms of having your business competition. And those are obviously for people who were part of the program, who've been on the webinars, who were here, obviously. And we definitely want as many people to sign up for that Pitch Your Business competition. even if you don't have to be in business, I would say if you have a business and you're planning your business right now and you want to pitch your idea because maybe you're looking for investors, by all means, please sign up and take advantage of that. So obviously we will select the first place winner, also a second and third place winner. So my pitch for you tonight is to please sign up and return for all of the webinars that are coming. We have another 10 webinars to go, actually 13 webinars to go. So we have a lot of new information that's going to be packed into these next few weeks and some really cool stuff that we're going to talk about. So having said all that, what I would like to do is just jump in. So as I mentioned, most of you were probably here in January. And again, before I continue, if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat. Or if you really want to express yourself and talk and ask your questions by unmuting yourself, that's fine. Just remember we're recording this. So sometimes some people they're shy, so they don't want to have their voice recorded on the webinar. So they type their questions in the chat. But by all means, this is an interactive session, as you'll see when we get to the tool of it. We definitely want you to take as much as you can out of this webinar. Take advantage of this opportunity, and we have some folks here who can answer as many questions as possible. So what we're going to do is I'm going to recap some of the things that we talked about. We're going to talk about what exactly is your business plan, why are you writing a business plan, a little bit of the elements of your planning, elements of planning your business, and then we're going to get into a very cool tool that we're going to talk about in terms of writing your business plan. So, okay, one question is, hi, how do I register for the pitch? What we're going to do is, we're actually going to send out a few emails to all the registrants, and we're going to send out that link. And it'll probably be in the Greater Bowie Chamber of Commerce website where you can actually sign up for the pitch competition. We haven't sent that out yet, but it's coming. So just keep an eye out for that. So one of the things that we're going to talk about here is we're going to really get into one of the tools that I like, that I use in my business and I use with clients to actually help them write their business plan. I think it's a wonderful tool. I'm biased. I'm okay with that, but but I like the tool, and I would definitely want to showcase some of the things in that tool for you. So as a recap, we talked about the elements of writing your business plan. One of the things that I look at is sort of like the business direction, like where are you taking your business, right? Generally speaking. So we talk about the mission, vision, and culture statement. We all know what a mission is. We all know what a vision is, of course. So one of the things that we also talk about that's sometimes left out in a lot of business plans is your culture statement. So when I talk about the culture statement, think of it, I think of it this way, and you can think of it the way you would like, what's comfortable for you. So I think of a culture statement like this. It's kind of like you have your house, or you have your place of residence. Who are the people that you would want to invite into your house and live with you? Think of that as your culture statement. What type of individuals would you want to work with? What type of individuals would you want to hire? Who would you want to partner with? What sort of morals and ethics, and what kind of person are they? That's kind of what a culture statement embodies when you write your business plan. So you definitely want to have a business that has a mission, of course, has a vision, but take a look at that culture statement, because you have a lot of companies who are, when you walk into that company, you're like, wow, this is a really fun place to work. Well, that's an element of a culture. The owner or the owners and the executives of that company develop that type of culture. That's one element of it. It's a fun environment. And there's other things that you want to add in there. So think of your culture statement as, who do you want to hang out with? I mean, you're hiring people as employees. Not only that, but you're also hiring, quote unquote, people who are going to do business with you. You're also hiring people who are going to be business partners with you. So you definitely want to kind of get to know the company, get to know who they are, and align yourself with them. The whom of the company is pretty straightforward. Who's the owner? Who are your business partners? Who are the investors? You want to also document those things. And the third and fourth bullet kind of go together. It's what are you selling, and what is the problem you're attempting to solve? So you can do a lot of selling of your product, but you also have to link it to what is the problem you're attempting to solve, which leads into what is your solution to that problem. So really, that's kind of what you're selling. You're selling those three things. What are you selling? Got to figure that part out. What is the main problem that you're attempting to solve for people? And then what is the solution to that problem? Okay. Then you also want to know who will buy that solution from you. So you want to remember this very important point. You can market your solution or your widget or whatever you're doing, you can market it to everyone. And that's going to be expensive because not everyone's going to buy it. So you definitely want to understand who are the people that needs this solution from you. Okay. So if you're selling pens, who needs a pen? Not everyone writes with pens. So you got to find out who uses a pen. I mean, it's a pretty simplistic example, but think of it in those terms. If you are selling a certain type of shoe that has a high arch support in there, then you need to find people, target market high arch support needing customers. So figure out who will buy that solution from you. Don't just market it to everyone. And finally, what are the goals for you in the business? We talked about goals last week. And this week, you definitely want to document what those goals are in your business plan. So what are the goals for you in your business? How do you want to exit your business, for example? What would be the optimal level of your business in terms of, hey, my business is now created. This is what it would look like when I define success. Okay, it could be 100 people in your company with a different organization structure, or it could be just 10 people working different things as a small business. So you definitely want to understand what those goals for your business are. And one of the things I always stress upon is an element of the business that we really don't pay attention to in the beginning is your exit strategy. I'm definitely going to get deeper into this as you saw the last section, but we definitely want to start with the end in mind. What is your exit strategy? Just because you're building a business, you want to understand, well, what do I call my business when it's finished? What am I going to do at that point? How am I going to walk away when my business is quote unquote completed? I have 100-person company, huge organization, making X amount of dollars. I don't need to be in the business 8 hours a day. I can choose that time. You want to start planning your exit at this particular juncture. So start your exit planning like now. Don't wait until you're forced to make that decision. So you really definitely want to be strategic about your exit of the business, and this is all part of your business plan as well. So some of the strategies that we talked about in the first section was, will you sell your business outright? Are you going to transition from your company? Maybe shut the company down because you've built it and now you want to walk away. So you have a lot of options in terms of how you finish your company. Will you be a silent partner? There's an option there. Could you be a direct consultant to your own company? There's so many different strategies and tactics you can use in terms of exiting your business. In the end, the actual question that you want to answer is, well, what would I do? What would I do? Now, a lot of us think of developing our business as literally saying, okay, well, my business should look like this structure in 10 years. But what if you're super successful and your business structure arrives and you've earned it in 2 years? You're working hard toward, okay, now what? Now what are you going to do? What's your next step? And if you didn't plan for it, you're forced to plan, and that might take a little bit longer time, because you certainly want to start with the end is really what I'm saying. So in terms of like writing your business plan, I always tell people, and some people laugh at me when I say this, I always tell people, prepare yourself. Writing your business plan isn't an overwhelming topic, but it can become overwhelming. So prepare yourself for making a personal shift in your assumptions, in your beliefs, because you definitely want to work with a fact-based mindset. You definitely want to find, a lot of us feel like, oh wow, my business is really wonderful, and I know everyone wants to buy my pen, and I know everyone's going to buy my pen. All right, let's go approve it. Let's find some data. let's find some data to support that, and put that in a plan, and ask yourself those hard questions. Be able to test your assumptions, change your perspectives. That's what I say. This is all part about preparing yourself, right? Be able to shift and make those changes as you move tactfully in developing your business plan. So that's a huge part of writing this business plan, is being prepared to look at yourself in the mirror and testing yourself and saying, hey, is my assumption correct, or this is a gut instinct? All right, well, let's test that gut instinct. And again, be able to make quick decisions. Some decisions you just have to live by, and you got to really make those decisions to say, and some of those decisions are, okay, my assumption is incorrect, but I have a new one, and here's a new way of moving forward in my business plan to make the sale, to do the right thing, and to sort of shift and change in how I'm going to look at my product, how I'm going to look at my service, or sometimes you just have to say, this particular business will not work, and I need to do something else. So this is what I mean by prepare yourself. It's going to be that particular iteration of developing your business, developing your plan, to go through what you're seeing here on the slide. And again, it's about investing in yourself, right? Your business plan is an investment in yourself. And you definitely want to engage as many resources as possible. Being here tonight and being here on this webinar, you're engaging in a resource. This is a time resource. So you certainly are doing the right thing, in my opinion, in being on this webinar and actually just going through this process and understanding that, yeah, this is a business planning process, but we can definitely go through certain things. So before I get to that, what I would like to do now, well, first, before I move forward, any specific questions? There's in the chat room. Let's open the chat room. Are there any questions anyone would like to jump in now? Or if not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the software. So can you guys see this good? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. So when I work with clients, I actually use a business planning tool, and there's many of them out there. But for my company, 1917, when I work with clients, I use a business planning tool called LifePlan. And there's many reasons why I really enjoy working with LifePlan. And I did look at many other business planning tools, out there. And the one thing I would say with LifePlan, for me, it fit my style. It's malleable. It has a very good forecasting tool, for example, and the financial projections, things like that. And it's online, number one. I don't have to download something to my laptop or my computer and then have the client download something. No, it's actually online. And that's why it's called LifePlan, I'm assuming. So I can actually work with clients and in the virtual world, and I can see their edits. I can look at what they're doing in real time. They can actually update their plan, and they can actually I can then see it, and I can actually provide comments and say, hey, this is what we can do here. Here's some ideas, and here's some changes that we can do. So what I'm starting off here with plan. And by the way, this isn't a real company. This is the name of the company is called Garrett's Bike Shop. And LifePlan was really, really cool with me. And I want to just thank them on record, just to say, hey, thanks for giving me a copy of Garrett's Bike Shop. It's one of the template, fully loaded template business plans that they have. And I'm just grateful that they can share that with me, so I can share it with you all. So really, when you start your business plan, as we talked about earlier, is, this is just, again, these are just basic elements of the outline. So we talk about the executive summary, we talk about the business opportunity. Remember, we talked about the solution, we talked about the problem being solved. And in this particular a business plan, talk about expected return. So this one is blank, but you can actually just go hit edit, and you can just start writing in here. And this is how This is just a quick sample of what you can do with LivePlan. And there it is. Very simple, very straightforward. And this is one reason why I enjoy it. I can also edit the outline. So if I wanted to add different topics to the business plan, and again, every business plan is different for every business. Even for the same business, a similar business, your business plan will have a difference in your topics. So sometimes I can go in here, I can say, I can do a custom, I can actually add a chapter in here. I can add a chapter, I can add a custom section, I can add a custom topic. So this is the malleability of it. So when I talk about creating an exit strategy, I can just basically take this, drop it into here, into this part, rename it exit strategy, and there it is. And then it actually shows up in your topics here on this side. So that's a very powerful part of LivePlan, and this is why I like it. And I really work with my clients on this. So, and then I can also view and edit it. This is the edit portion. I can download and print the plan, right? And I can actually just, do some commenting here. Okay. And these are just some comments from some of the folks that worked on that particular business plan. And then I can actually download it as a PDF file, or I can download it as a Word document. There's logos and things in there that you can upload as well. So if you're looking at your branding, you can upload your brands up in here, things like that. So you can see that this is the Garrett's template, Garrett's Bike Shop. And it actually has different ways of exporting the document into that. You can actually do it. You can actually set up your chapters in different areas. You can do your appendix in different areas. You can include a cover page, customize that cover page. So there's a lot, it's a powerful tool. There's a lot you can do with it here. So one of the things I also like is, I'm just going to jump to forecasting. So if I click on the forecasting tab, here's a little bit of the powerful point of the business planning software. And again, if you guys have any questions, please just put it in the comment, or just unmute yourself and just say, hey, Eric, I got a question here. So what happens here, you can actually do some projections. All right, here are some projections from 2021. And again, this is a sample from 2021, 2022, and 2023. When you look at revenue within that particular company, their revenue comes from accessories and parts, clothing, new bikes, repair and service, things like that, used bikes, and all that. So you can actually tease these particular elements out based on your projected revenue. And these are the revenue streams. And you can actually just go ahead and add a revenue stream here. So this is all within your business planning tool. Now, one of the things I want to stress upon is all this information that you see here comes from a narrative. It comes from your research, right? It comes from testing your assumptions. It comes from understanding your industry analysis and understanding your market analysis. So this looks really great, but there's a lot of work that goes into the business plan. There's a lot of work that goes into these projections. There's some assumptions in your micro market. What's happening in the bike industry? What's happening in now, when I think of the bike shop, to me, it's kind of like, you can think of it as the movement of people, because the bicycle is just a way of moving someone from point A to point B. And you can look at it as, okay, I'm moving someone from someone's house to the park and back to the house, right? So that's a leisure way of looking at it. So what are some assumptions you can make about that? You're in the movement of people industry. That's kind of how I would look at it. And the bike is just a tool for moving people. Okay. Is it leisure? Sure. Is it for a job? Sure. So what are those subcategories within that industry that you will be selling these bikes to? Are you selling it to someone who's using this for their job, for maybe a local delivery service? What's happening in that particular submarket that you can do a target market specifically for that specific niche. Then you want to look at in your industry analysis and market analysis, what are some of the revenue streams? Like, for example, this particular template has clothing. Obviously, when you have a brand of bike shops, there's some other things that you can sell that are sort of directly assisting or directly relating to a revenue stream for that bike. Bike pumps, for example. What if you sell bike pumps in there, or tire pumps rather, things like that. Obviously repair and service, that's a revenue stream. If you sell the bike, you definitely want people to come back, and maybe you have a maintenance plan for repair and service of the bike that someone bought from your store. So those are things that you can start looking at before you get to the numbers part. There is all that research and all that thinking that has to go into your planning, the narrative part. Pauline, I'm sensing there's a question.
There is. We should probably come up with a little gesture for me. Can this be tied to quick?
Can this be tied into QuickBooks? Yes, 100%. And if you can there is a QuickBooks QBO forecasting tool here. You can actually create. You can actually link your QuickBooks profile or your QuickBooks account to the LivePlan account, and that I think is just for I think it's a little bit of an extra fee to that on top of that, but nonetheless, yes, you can definitely do that. So I do believe that some of these numbers came or originated from QuickBooks, but you can certainly add a lot of your data from QuickBooks and connect it directly to LivePlan. So LivePlan, starts off with the narrative part. What is the story of your business? And then you can actually, create these numbers, whether in QuickBooks or actually even in LivePlan. You can actually do these things. Is that right, Justin?
Yeah, and Charles, actually, that's a really really good question, because you're thinking along the right lines of tying your business plan, which, as William has been saying, is there's a lot of assumptions, there's guesses, there's maybe some targets in there that you want to hit, some of your goals, but you want to make sure that that's always responsive to reality. And our philosophy on business planning is that it's not this big long document that you write once, you save on your computer, you never look at it again, which is why it's really helpful to have something that is online, that's easy to come back to, it's easy to update and to change. And the best way to do that is to connect it to your accounting software. And you can pull in your actuals and say, okay, I made all these assumptions in my plan. What actually happened? And what does that mean for my plan? Was I right? Was I wrong? If you put your cost of goods down, if you thought you could buy your materials for a certain price and it turns out that it's a lot more expensive, but you never go back in and change that in your plan's still going to look great. But in reality, things have changed a lot. So in order for your plan to be useful, you need to be looking at that actual data. And so the connection with LivePlan is, like William said, if you make that connection to your plan, we'll pull in your actuals and it'll actually help you to build your forecast. So it'll just copy what you have in QuickBooks, and then you can go in and start making your assumptions about what's going to happen in the future. But the key place where that connection helps is actually in the dashboard, which is it's kind of like a Fitbit for your business. So you make the connection, you pull in your actuals, but then as you continue to run your business, the dashboard allows you to look back at previous months and say, okay, here were all my targets, here were all my assumptions. Now I can overlay that with what actually happened and see where the delta is and use that information to update your plan. So it's definitely, really valuable to see both sides of those pictures. If you look at your accounting, that tells you what happened, and that's great. But if you don't know what was supposed to happen, it's really hard to use that information to then make better decisions as a business owner. And in terms of growing your business, one of the best ways to do that is to continually be setting these financial targets, see if you hit them, and then update from there. And that'll keep you really, really focused on the important aspects of how you're running your business.
Yep. Yeah,
So
well
long
said.
answer, but but really good question. And you know, it's a big piece of this whole business planning conversation. Is really testing those assumptions and making sure that you're paying attention to what's happening in your accounting.
Yeah, definitely. And this is why it's so important to understand that industry analysis and market analysis of what's happening in you know, at different tiers. So the industry analysis is a much broader tier, and as you break down the market analysis, it gets more localized as you should have it. And connecting it to QuickBooks, great question, Charles. Definitely, yeah, you definitely see the actuals and your forecasting and the variances between the two. And as Justin mentioned, you certainly want to test your assumptions. A lot of folks that I've met over the years, they write their business plan and they don't take a look at it ever again. They just take off and they just implement. And for me, it's kind of like, okay, let's go back to your business plan and let's update that business plan, because you have to you have to make new assumptions, right? Those assumptions, are they real? Have they become factual, or they didn't pan out? And why didn't they pan out? Okay, now let's make a new set of assumptions and then you move forward. So that's so important for going back into your business plan and writing it good the first time, because over time your plan gets better and better and better because you have to just update it. So, you know, one of the things that we look at here, and this is, you know, we can break this down into, you know, the monthly total. So these I don't know if you guys saw that, but this is just the yearly total based on projected revenue. And then this is the monthly total. And this goes all the way to, for the 3 years that we were looking at for 2023, December 2022. So it breaks it down into that data set, just so that you can actually test and measure and see what's happening with a lot of your issues or a lot of your business. So I'm just going to click on the P&L. So again, this is just your projected P&L, your profit and loss statement. These are all things that, you know, you should, you know, if you're starting off your business, it's actually a pro forma. So you're just starting off with 3 years or 1 year projection to 3 year projections. So all this thing should be in your pro forma. So you certainly want to have this updated. So I'm just going to take that off for a minute. I'm just going to show you the yearly ones. They looked at the revenue, 2.5 million, 2.6 million, about the same for next year. So that's the connection between the narrative of your business plan and the numbers part of your business plan. And this is why I love using this tool with my clients. Then you have your balance sheet. And next week, actually, Charles Mott is going to be here to talk about financial literacy. So this is like a little preview of what he'll talk about. So you have your projected balance sheet into this. So again, this goes into your assumptions. This goes into some of your projections in terms of what you're looking at, and then cash flow. So what's your projected expected cash flow for different areas? And if I'm not mistaken, let's see. All right. And then these are the financial tables. So, okay. So from there, we can go to benchmarks. Now, this is your NAICS code. So the NAICS code for that company is 451110. And we all know what a NAICS code is. It's a North American industry classification system. So no matter what business you have, you're related to a NAICS code. If you go to, I think the website is called NAICS.org, I think it's called, or if you do a search on NAICS, NAICS, you can just type in what's your primary business per your business license, and it'll tell you what that NAICS code is. And this gives you some benchmarks into that particular industry as it relates to your particular business. So for example, this NAICS code, which is sporting goods stores, bike shop, sporting goods, that's the industry. The benchmark is 37%. You're in this particular business plan, which is a sample, we're forecasting a 49% gross profit margin or gross margin. And it gives you certain benchmarks against the industry. And again, this is just a powerful tool. This is why I sort of like using this, because you have these things built into the system. I remember doing business plans years ago that you actually had to go and manually look for these things and all that. I'm aging myself, but manually looking for these things and all that to put in your business plan. But having a system like this really helps. You can look at productivity metrics, cash metrics, for example, against your industry. So it's a good way of looking at yourself comparing yourself against the industry that you're in. So that gives you it's a benchmark. It tells you kind of like where you are comparatively speaking to the industry or the arena that you're in. Spending metrics and quick ratios and current ratios. So these are other things that we can look into as well. Scheduling, just like in project planning, you have your milestone schedules in terms of different things that you can actually create in planning your business. So complete business plan, Wednesday, June 10th, it was finished over a year, almost 316 days ago, last June. Revenue scenario, complete business plan, it was completed October 1st. Revenue forecast. So these are things that are coming up. These are things that are done. The upcoming milestones is, again, hire a new manager. And we can add milestones here. And you can place the date here. Now, again, these are all based on your business plan. So you can actually tease that information out and actually create those milestones here. So you can create your project plan or your action plan out of your business plan that you're working on. And these are all completed milestones or completed taskers that you've planned in your business plan. Now, don't write your business plan and walk away from it and leave it. This is why it's important, because you're actually checking off and you're actually testing against the activity of your business plan. So this is why it's so cool to really be diligent in writing your business plan and thinking this through. And then I keep stressing that point, the narrative point. Understand the narrative, understand what you're selling, why you're selling, who's going to buy it, what's the problem, what's the solution that people are going to buy, how are you going to sell that, and how are you going to market those things, how are you going to grow your business. And over time, this is an online system that it'll always come back and you can always update and work with. The dashboard, this is what Justin was talking about. We talked about this a little bit. This goes from, against this, you can do this against your forecast. You can do this against your previous period, for example. So it's a malleable system. We can look at your trends for the business. Okay, it gives you, it pulls in this data as well from QuickBooks. We can look at your profit and loss. In terms of a trend, we can do overall, do it by month. Okay. The reason why we're not seeing zeros because I don't think we have any actuals in here, and this is actually projected, but that's the power of the tool. It's either that or they did really well. The plan was perfect. There are no variances. That's what it is. Great planning. That's what this was. Great assumptions and great planning.
I think in this case, I think at one point this company was connected to QuickBooks, but it hasn't been for a while, so it's not pulling in your actual numbers. But it's showing that one of the cool things is once you make that connection once, as long as it stays connected, it's just going to keep in pulling your numbers. So you don't have to enter, any actuals or any data or anything like that. So as a business owner, I mean, you can just get in here, log in and see, okay, how am I performing versus my plan? What does that mean for my business? And what changes do I need to make?
Yep. Then you have your trends for your balance sheet or your dashboard for your balance sheet. Okay. And you can do it by month. And then cash flow, that's also very important. So you can look at it from this perspective. And this is why it's such a powerful tool. So let's see, there is something I wanted to show. Where is it? It's in the cash flow, I think it is. And I'm trying to get to the what if scenario, Justin. For some reason, it's just not.
Oh yeah. Well, so if you click on financial tables,
right.
And then if you
Oh, here
click
it is.
on cash flow assumptions, yeah,
Yeah,
that'll
there
show
it
us
is.
some of those, levers there.
Yep. So for example, when you start, if you do, for example, ARs, right? Account receivable. So if your ARs are sales on credit, which means how much sales are based on credit cards, which is actually be more 50%. You can do a little bit of a what if scenario. And the numbers will change in sort of like real time. So once you have a well-established assumptions, once you have your narrative, once you have those numbers coming in and out, you can actually just reflect and do a what if scenario on certain areas, and your numbers you obviously will change. You can see the impact of your numbers. So like days to get paid, for example, again, accounts receivable. Let's say you have a 45-day AR program. See right here, your projected cash flow is actually going to be impacted, and it actually retabulates that for you. So if I go back to, let's say, 15 days, your cash flow goes up, obviously, because people should follow the rules, and pay you based on that assumption of a 15-day invoicing. And any questions, Pauline? I can't
There
believe
is a
so.
question.
Okay.
Does this work for nonprofit organizations?
Do nonprofits have money? Yes. Do nonprofits need a business plan? Yes. So yes. Especially with nonprofits, you're not necessarily, well, you do have cash flow, because you obviously have overhead, you have operations, you have things like that. You may not call it revenue, but you may want to call it something different. You may want to call it income, because now, or donations, what your donation revenue would look like. So you're looking at maybe some terminology that may change. However, yes, for a nonprofit, it is a business. It's just a different type of business. But you definitely want to look at, especially your cash flow for nonprofits. It's like, when do you have your peak donations? When do you do those things? And how does that affect your cash flow from month to month and year to year? When is the giving season? Because sometimes there's a giving season that people donate money towards organizations. So what time of the year is your cash flow going to be really high? And at what point do you get close to zero based on your operational expenses? So yes, you can definitely use this for nonprofits. So these are things that you can actually take a look at and set up within the life plan system. So these are things that you can tweak, and there's even a financing tab in here. I haven't really played with the financing tab, but this goes into like a loan payment and what your payments would be, and this affects your projected cash flow, obviously. So, and then it shows your balance. So think of it in those terms. It's sort of like a what if tool. All right, this is very powerful, because you can look at your assumptions. Like for example, when we talked about financial projections, we certainly talked about creating a best case scenario, right? A worst case scenario, and then an optimal case scenario. So, this is something that you can actually say, okay, well, what are the best case scenarios for doing my business in different areas based on certain assumptions. For example, in 2019, if you take a risk analysis in your business in 2019 and you say, what if there's a pandemic in 2020? You can come in here and say, wow, we're going to be shut down. How's my cash flow going to be hurting at that time? So, we laugh about that now, but imagine if you had that piece of information in 2019 or even 2018, and prepare yourself from a cash flow perspective, looking at your risk analysis of your business plan. And then you can actually adjust your what if scenario based on your risk analysis of your business plan. So this is why it's so important that, again, these tools look really wonderful. I like them. They're really good. But here's actually where the meat of your business plan is. It's right here. This drives your numbers section. So the more work that we do in your business planning narrative, in your research and putting it together, And again, this goes back to, I'm going to go a little bit backwards here. This goes into being prepared for playing with these numbers. You definitely want to do as much data capture as possible. It's not going to be perfect. I tell you that right now, it's never going to be perfect, but you certainly want to spend a lot of time in sort of looking at, looking at the assumptions of your business. So let's see, what else can we, yeah, you can definitely connect it to QuickBooks. And you can definitely, oh, here's another thing that we can do. You can certainly add people to your business plan. So for example, it's not just a one person deal. If you're working on your business plan, you can say, hey, I have a collaborator. I just want someone to take a look at it, or someone to work with. You can just put it through the email system. You can add that one individual, I think one or two individuals to who can have access to this business plan. So you can work with other people on your business plan. For example, like my clients, when I work with them on their business plan, I have access to their business plan. They have a list of people that they work with, like their accountant. They may want to look at their business plan, for example, certain areas of the business plan. And I'm their business consultant, so I help them, I guide them through this entire development. So that's something that's also an element of this system. The one thing I like, and this is something that's coming up, is the pitch program. So the pitch tab is pretty much, sort of think of it as a one pager for your business. I kind of tease and say it's a one pager, it's a one page marketing thing for your business. And this goes into taking all that information from your business plan, and you create sort of like a pitch package for your business. So obviously this came from, you can edit these sections, right? This is obviously your logo. This is basically what we do. The opportunity, what problem you're solving, what solutions you're providing to this problem. And here is who you're selling those solutions to, your target market. Here is just a list of your competitors. You can actually edit a lot of these sections. And when you do your pitch competition, for example, this company needed, $75,000, and they talk about what they're gonna actually do with that 75K. So that's very important. And then you talk a little bit about your sales and marketing channels, sales channels, storefront, website, repairs, for example. This is what this company is going to do. So your pitch really talks about the major elements of your company. These are some team members. Remember I talked about the whom of your business? Well, this is the whom of their business. You can actually take this and edit, put your picture, a little bit of these persons, their bios in here. Then you have your partners and resources. So who are the partners and resources that are part of your company? And you can list them out here. You can actually just go, there's an edit button. You can upload and do different things. Again, just like it's just the same thing as your business plan. You can actually edit your pitch, your pitch model. And you can actually just go ahead and publish your pitch as a web page. And the cool thing is you can actually export your pitch to a slide deck. So this is a pretty powerful tool. And this is something that I work with my clients with. And I have a great relationship with LivePlan as well. And like Justin's here from LivePlan. So that really helps in correcting anything I misspoke about, right, Justin? So so far, so good.
Yeah, you're doing great. Yeah.
So it's a really great tool. Does anyone have any questions on any of this stuff? On not just the tool, but more on the business planning side of it?
It's just nice to see that there's something all in one place. I'm sorry, Ms. Sharon.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shadera. I guess I just had a quick question, and thank you guys so much for even hosting this informative session. I guess my question is, for me, I have a business already that I started in the peak of COVID last year, and my business is in IT services. And I made a template. I used a template to make my business plan. And seeing this software, this tool, I really like the features that it has. And I guess my question is, these different numbers in terms of even projecting my competitors? Is this stuff that I have to put in the information, or is it like a generated, does it kind of do the heavy lifting of going and searching in my market to see who my competitors are, or do I need to, I don't mind doing that. I would just asking to see if that's something that the tool does for you. And you just plug in all the, the different necessary stuff in there, and then it will kind of like give you a big picture. Or is it something that it kind of like does that legwork for you?
I'll take a shot at that, then, and Justin can jump in and talk a little bit more about that. The narrative of your business plan has to come from you. I always tell people, and this is the bad part about any software out there. There's an expectation of the tool will just go out there and grab it and present it. So here's what I'm gonna say on that. If the tool does that for you, how do you know it's actually correct for your local market? You still need to, in my opinion, you still need to do that research and still make sure that, I can tell you, hey, these are your 3 competitors. Well, how do you know it's true? It's your business. So I always say it's always good to actually go into that industry analysis and that market analysis. Do the work, and sort of, update your business plan accordingly. When it comes to the numbers part of it, yeah, that's generated from QuickBooks, because you're actually executing your business within the QuickBooks environment. And if you connect it to Life Planner, to this software, it'll just grab that data as actuals. Whenever you write your business plan, you still have to do your projections based on your assumptions, based on your industry analysis, your market analysis, your risk assessment of all of those factors, and a whole bunch of other things like your SWOT analysis, for example. Your goals, for example. What are your revenue goals, for example? Your business will make $1 million, but what's your personal revenue salary, or your salary out of that $1 million? What's your projected gross profit margin?
Gotcha.
You want to have those, you want to create those, you want to work on those assumptions and work on those goals, and go from there. So,
Gotcha.
so yes, it's a combination of both, I would say. Just to be in the safe side, to be real with you, it's a combination of both. And even if you didn't have this software and you had to do it the previous way, the pre-software way of doing it, you still have to write those things out. But yes, it's a combination of both. Justin, I know you want to add something here. Go ahead.
Thank you.
No, I mean, that was a really good answer. Yeah, I think a good way to think about what the software is actually doing, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of helping you understand what should go into your business plan and how to put a really effective plan together. And versus using a template, it takes a really guided approach. So if you've never written a business plan before or never done your financial projections, it's going to kind of break those things down into a step-by-step process and let you know what you should be doing next, and really helping expose the things you haven't been thinking about. So what haven't you been focusing on for your business that may be able to help you a little bit, and putting those things into the plan. And then the other thing that it's going to do some heavy lifting for is helping you to get all that information into a presentable format. So when somebody asks you for your business plan, or they ask you for your pitch, or they want to see your financials, or you hire somebody and you need to share that stuff with them, it helps you kind of organize everything into a really visual way. So the research, exactly to William's point, I mean, you could be doing industry research, and there's some great tools out there that give you a lot of information, or it could be walking into your competitor's store and ordering something from them and just seeing, how was that experience? How expensive was it? How quickly did I get my service? And, how does my store, how does my service differentiate from what they're offering? So there's tons of ways to do good research that goes into your plan, and tools like this just help you to kind of organize those things, and then automate some time wasters. You don't need to spend a lot of time building a spreadsheet that you can show somebody your financials. Software is really good at doing that for you, so you can really just focus on what are the numbers and what should they be. So
Thank you.
Yeah, no. Thank you for the question. Definitely appreciate that, because there are some businesses that already have their business plan. So what we do is we just, for lack of a better term, we cut and paste some of the information, the narrative part, into this system, and then we connect their QuickBooks to their current QuickBooks, and then we just build their business plan. Because I think the advantage of having an online system and working with someone who can walk you through the development process is you can always go back to it in a very easy manner. It's not paper. It's no longer this document on your desk that you have to update and then go electronically. It's there. It's in a cloud format. So you can actually access that and just do your what ifs and go back and test your scenarios. So again, it's a process. And again, I go back to the slides. I feel like I'm beating a dead dinosaur here, but I go back to that slide to say, planning your business plan takes planning. You're in the IT world. Okay, well, let's talk about what specific part of the IT world are you in? Let's talk about that particular sector in the industry. Let's find out what's happening. Let's look at let's do some research on the NAICS code and see what's actually happening, and are the assumptions that you've made. And then you start going into your risk, your SWOT analysis, all those areas. Then we start putting your numbers and your projections together based on some of the goals and issues that you have. So the idea there is when we talk about, I think there was a question on the price. When we talk about the price part, the price can vary depending on what you're looking at. And I think we can probably take that offline if you want to have a conversation about that. But nonetheless, we can certainly figure out a way how to make that work for you, and all that. So are there any other questions?
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I have a few questions. So I have the old school version of the handwritten template of my business plan, and I have like so many versions of it because every time I read it, I'm like, why did I write this? And so, but I don't want to like delete them because at some point maybe I'll come back and say, wow, this is a good idea. So like, are you able to save like ideas or other iterations of your business plan here, like, or does it overlay what you previously typed?
That's actually a great question. Justin, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah. So basically in LivePlan, everything that you've written, you can always basically take a snapshot and just download it, especially your full business plan, which includes all your financials and all that stuff. So if you think, hey, this is a version of my business plan that I might want to come back to, I'm going to change it, but I want to save this version so that I have it, you can just quickly download it, and then you have that template. So that way, what you're working on in the software is always the most current version that you're working on. And you can kind of just be taking those snapshots down the road. And also in the forecast, William, if you click on where it says forecast at the top of a little bit above that to the right where it says QBO, yeah, there you go. So your financials, you can actually save different financial scenarios in here. So that's another way to do that scenario planning, which I think William mentioned before. You can do a best case scenario, you can do a worst case scenario, but that's a great way to kind of put on your pessimistic hat and say, okay, my other forecast, I might have been being overly optimistic. What happens if things don't quite go the way I'm thinking they will? Am I still going to be able to make money? Am I still in business? What does my cash flow look like? So that's another way to kind of have those different versions of your plan saved, but you're doing exactly the right thing. It sounds like you're going back to your plan, you're thinking about it, and you're realizing, oh, all this stuff is so outdated. I've learned so much since the last time I wrote this plan. That's what your business plan should be. That's how you should be using it and thinking about that plan of just keep coming up with the latest version that's actually going to help you make decisions for your business. So with that, I do have to hop off, but I wanted to thank everybody, William and Pauline, for having me, and everybody for joining. William, feel free to share on my email. So if anybody has any more questions or anything like that, I'd love to chat or help, this is what we do all day here. So, but it was great meeting everybody. And again, thanks for having me. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the week here.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thanks,
ya.
Justin. Take care.
So the other two questions I have
Sure.
is, so what do you find, would you recommend this, would you recommend Live Plan to a business that I'm going to call it like a micro business? Do you think even a micro business would benefit from Live Plan? And then the other question is for the forecast. What happens if you have QuickBooks, or is QuickBooks the only tool you can use for your finances? Because I personally use Quicken, and the only reason I use Quicken is because I can do my personal and business and real estate stuff all together. But I know QuickBooks is, every time I attend a lot of business seminars, they talk about QuickBooks. So I'm wondering if that's something I should change.
Your first question was about the business planning. A micro business should use the business planning. Every business should have a business plan. Now, again, this is just the reason why I'm showing this tool is because this is what I use in my company when I work with clients. Is I take them through, the business planning process, and at a certain point, we upload a lot of that data into this particular system. So I like this system for as many reasons as you saw. Is it perfect? No. However, it's a good one that I like, that I actually invested in. So find the system that works for you. Okay, this one works for me and my clients. So you want to find the one that works for you. When it comes to QuickBooks, right now it seems like QuickBooks is the main financial software that they connect to. I'm not sure if they're gonna in the future they'll connect to other software, but yeah, QuickBooks is the big monster out there right now. So I would definitely say that, yeah, if you have QuickBooks, this is the one that they connect to. I don't think they connect to other software as well. So
okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem. Any questions, Pauline?
Yes, we have. How can we hire a consultant?
How can we hire a consultant? Shoot me an email and we can we can talk. That's what I do. So just if you have my contact information, yeah, shoot me an email, and sure, I don't mind doing a one-on-one with you and figuring out how we can work together. I think that's one reason why I'm here. So sure. Did I answer the person's question?
I believe you did, and I'm actually answering the second one for everybody, which is you can find links to the recorded videos at bowiechamber.org, and then also YouTube, if you type in Bowie, but we have a YouTube page called Bowie Business and Resilience Webinar, Bowie Business Education Resilience Webinars.
Yep. So if there are no more questions on this, I'm just gonna stop share. And what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna go back and share. So the next webinar next week, we're gonna be having Mr. Charles Mott talking about financial literacy. If you remember him from the first section, we're definitely gonna get into some more information in financial literacy next week. And again, I think someone was asking, how would you want to get in touch with me? This is my contact information. At the same time, you can actually just put if you'd like, you can send me, let's see, who asked that question, Pauline? You know?
1 second, let me go up a little bit.
I don't want to call out their name, but they can actually just do.
Okay.
You can just shoot me a private message. Actually, let me just do that right now. I think I can. Yeah, you can shoot me a private message in there, and then we can definitely set up a time just to figure out how this works and what exactly you're looking for and how we can help you do that.
Okay. Miss
Cool.
Beverly said it's okay to use her name.
Okay. All right. Love that. Great. So Beverly, sure. Just shoot me a text. That's also my direct number, so you can shoot me a text with your email, and then I can definitely set up a meeting with you, just to sit and chat and get to know each other and figure out, what exactly you're looking for and how and if I can help you. Put it that way. Sounds fair? All right. With that, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Please, again, if this was worth it, I hope this was worth it, because from when I remember talking to Pauline in January, I said, for the next one, we definitely want to get into some tools and really show people that we can do this and this is how we can get it done. So we really went from the theory into some actuals and really working into, like, you want your plan done, this is one way of doing it, and really setting out and being thoughtful and intentional in how you want to get it done. So there's a lot of tools out there. So really just start, if you haven't started, just start putting it together and start putting this plan together for your business and really making it happen for you, and for the next, for you and your family and the people that you're doing it for. So yeah, so with that, I look forward to seeing you all again next week, to talk about some financial literacy stuff with Charles, and I'll be here as well. So Pauline, again, thank you. This was great. I had a good time. Everyone was asking questions. I had fun. I love doing this stuff. So I'm going to turn it over back to Pauline, and we can do our quick closeout. So thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Eric. Let me pull up my other. Okay, so again, Eric, always a pleasure. And we have the poll up as usual. So if you can just take a moment to answer the exit poll questions. I just want to say that this, in closing though, that knowing that a program like this exists for small businesses to be able to use, and it's amazing. And so just make sure you pick the right program for your business. This is just one of many, but absolutely fascinating, held my attention, and I appreciate you, Eric, and I appreciate 1917. And this concludes our event. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next week.